Follow your team with our team. Louisiana Prep Preview Friday nights at 6, Louisiana Prep Scoreboard Friday nights at 10, and Louisiana Prep Weekly Sunday nights at 6 on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Hanny time. Hanny time. A daily look at sports from our resident historian. Your sports break during your lunch break. Now, here's Charles Sandegriff.
And a pleasant good afternoon to everybody. Welcome to Anytime 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. I am Charles Sandegriff, along with Mario Jerez and Taylor Sharp. Scott Rabalais with us here in about 15 minutes. At the bottom of the hour, we'll do first class, second class, no class. Today's is funny. Something I've never seen before. But apparently it's pretty widespread. We'll get to that a little bit later on. LSU, we will delve a little bit into their matchup with Tennessee as we've hit the midway point in the week. Best team that LSU has played thus far, best quarterback that LSU has played thus far. Brian Kelly on the Vols.
Talented football team. Josh has done an incredible job in his second year there, and certainly an offense that is averaging 48 points per game, and led by Hendon Hooker, leads the SEC in total offense, and talented running backs, Hyatt, Tillman, McCoy at wide receiver, and then defense, just a lot of athletic players across the board, from Young to Beasley. The secondary, and then they lead the league in turnovers margin, so they do a great job of taking care of it and getting the football out. So just a great challenge, great matchup between two teams that are, looking to continue to build on their success as they transition with new coaches, and should be an exciting atmosphere here in Tiger Stadium.
Hooker presents any number of problems for the LSU defense through the air, but the X factor and why I think that this guy is just a fantastic quarterback is he runs, but he runs only when it seems like it's pertinent, when they absolutely need it. For instance, the first three games, he ran for 12, 27, and 24 yards. Now, two of those were blowouts, so who cares? But the game against Pittsburgh, the 27 yards ended up being two key third downs. I mean, he didn't run the whole game. And this was a close game. This was a one-score game pretty much throughout. He didn't run until he absolutely had to. And in the area, think about Joe Burrow. Could Joe Burrow run? Yes. Did he run a lot? No. Did he run when he had to? Yes. And did it always seem like it was at an important part of the game? Yes. And when LSU absolutely needed Joe Burrow to extend some of those runs, extend his rushing attempts, like in the Texas A&M game when it finished 72-70, he ran for over 100 yards. They needed him that night. That's what Hooker does, too. He ran for 112 against Florida. They didn't need him to run against Pittsburgh that much. They certainly didn't need him to run against Ball State and Akron. They needed him to run against Florida. That ended up being a one-score game at the end, although Tennessee had controlled a lot of the action before that. You add that to the fact that the guy throws the ball down the field and doesn't turn the ball over, and you see the particular problem that LSU's got with this guy. Kelly talked about Hooker in particular in this clip.
Well, I've gone against Hendon Hooker, so I know about him when he was at Virginia Tech. I mean, he's almost much more mature as a quarterback, and in particular in the passing game. But, I think in my career, I've seen quarterbacks that have the physical stature of a Hendon Hooker. And when I say physical stature, size, the ability to run, and then have the arm strength to push the ball down the field. And that's what he has, right? He's got both. He can hurt you running the football because of his athletic ability and his size, and he's got a great arm.
There's almost no comparison to the maturity level and the level of play for Hooker at Virginia Tech. I appreciate that Kelly's seen him before. That helps. It's certainly not going to hurt, but he's just nowhere near the quarterback that he was when he was at Virginia Tech. When he was at Virginia Tech, his touchdown-interception ratio was under 2-1. He was averaging about 170 yards a game. He was running a lot more. His last season at Virginia Tech, he rushed for 620 yards. You see what I'm getting at? Oh, Harold, this guy has matured so much as a quarterback in that he is now trying to push the ball down the field rather than running, and he is running only when it's really, really necessary. So the familiarity certainly helps for Brian Kelly, but Hooker is a completely different quarterback than the one he saw at Virginia Tech. But Kelly knows that. So he talked about why Hooker fits so well into this system.
He fits this system really well because he throws a great deep ball. And look, the way they run their offense, they get so many one-on-one matchups. You've got to have a highly accurate quarterback who can put the deep ball on you. And he always did that well. He did it well at Virginia Tech, and he does it really well within Josh's system of offense. So that in itself makes him, really the effective quarterback that he is. Because if he was just a running quarterback, there's a lot of those guys. It's his accuracy in the deep ball that makes him that double threat.
Yep. The other thing, of course, with Tennessee is the tempo. They're coming in here looking to go fast.
They can't do a lot, right? They can't motion, they can't shift, they can't formation you to death, but you can't do quite as much on defense either, right? You've got to get lined up and you've got to get your cleats in the ground. So, a lot of this comes down to winning one-on-one matchups. So being fundamentally sound, tackling, playing the ball in the air, defeating one-on-one blocks. People talk about this being, a spread offense and it being, one of these kind of newer offenses, but it really breaks this game down to winning one-on-one matchups to probably the most pure sense. And that's what we'll have to do defensively. We're going to have to win a lot of one-on-one matchups.
Some of the things he's saying here sound awfully familiar to what he said when they played Mississippi State, starting with you have to tackle well. Well, not at the very beginning of the Mississippi State game did they tackle well, but they certainly tackled well in the second half and even into the later part of the second quarter. We talked about how the ball got out of the hands of Will Rogers in Mississippi State really quickly. LSU was able to put some pressure on him, which is not the easiest thing to do. If they're going to go with this tempo and you got the same guys and you're not going to be able to make a ton of substitutions, this is going to mean that your communications are at a premium. Against Florida State, this was a problem. Communications were poor. There were people running wide open, especially on third down. They corrected that in the second half. They got a little bit better. Against Mississippi State, they got a lot better. There was some coverage busts against Auburn in the first half, really mostly in the first quarter. They got those things fixed. Everybody involved in this would greatly prefer if they didn't wait quite so long. But again, this is a pretty talented group. So they're going to go fast. They're going to push the envelope. They're going to push the ball down the field. They're going to put a lot of pressure on this defense. LSU may be able to combat this with an old tried and true thing here in Baton Rouge. You get a quarterback that wants to go really fast. Make it loud. Josh Heupel talked about Hooker having to handle the crowd noise at Tiger Stadium.
Crowd noise, that's important for the quarterback, but it's really important for all 11, and in particular our guys up front in the box. And something that we practice, as everybody in the country does. We've been able to, since Hendon's been our starting quarterback, handle it in a fairly positive way and been pretty efficient with it. That will be a big part of the game, a big challenge for us on Saturday, for sure.
Get there early. Leave your house early. Get there early. Make some noise. Swap out the bourbon for, Bloody Marys, whatever it is that you got to do. You can make a difference. Is it going to completely shut down this offense? No. Here's where the crowd can make a difference, in my opinion. It might only be a couple of plays. It might be 3 times in this game that an offensive lineman jumps and turns 3rd down and 2 into 3rd down and 7. It might be a stop. It might be one play where a receiver doesn't get a check, is not where he's supposed to be, and they end up turning the ball over. They haven't yet, but anything's possible. It's that one time that the quarterback either can't hear or can't communicate to his teammates what he wants to do and has to burn a timeout that they might need later in the game. If Tennessee snaps the ball 75 times in this game, if they're any good, and I think they're very good, the crowd noise may only have a tangible effect on a handful of those plays. But those plays could be the ones that end up swinging a game. If this is a one-score game, the odds makers think this is going to be a one-score game. So if you kill one drive, and that drive would have ended up being a scoring drive, it might be the difference in the game. Isn't that worth getting up a little bit earlier for? It's over here cheerleading, man. What am I doing? Anyway, neither one of these teams turned the ball over a whole lot, something that Josh Heupel talked about as well.
Tells you that they're seeing things and operating, being really efficient. Tells you that they're being accurate with the football and have some maturity and have the ability to take care of the football too. And obviously turnovers in this game will be huge. LSU defensively has done a great job of causing that. I think they might lead the country in that stat. So that'll be a big part of the game this Saturday too.
See, he missed Kelly's press conference on Monday when he said it was okay to throw interceptions. Remember? It's okay. Throw the ball. They might not always be wide open. And it wasn't even a goof, right? You know, you would say you clip one of these audio bites and it says, the coach says, it's okay to throw interceptions. Well, you need some context to that. So a lot of times they'll make a goof out of it. Hey, here's a coach saying it's okay to throw interceptions. Well, you know, in the context of haven't thrown any interceptions and throwing for 5 yards in the second half of a conference game on the road, yes, take some risks. Not that they want you to throw interceptions, but, you know, this kind of stuff happens. And for those that don't think that Jaden Daniels is capable of this, that this has been his MO for his entire career, which you've seen over the last 5 games, it's just that's not the case. He wasn't that guy at Arizona State, all right? He threw the ball down the field. He threw plenty of interceptions, okay? I mean, this is my theory, and I'm sticking to it. I don't know if anybody over there would agree. I think that from the day his feet hit the ground in Baton Rouge, Jaden Daniels, hello, nice to meet you, don't turn the ball over. This is our locker room. Remember, don't throw interceptions. Here are our practice fields. Don't fumble. You go to class in this building over here. Do not turn the ball over. This is where you can park, and this is where you can't park. Remember, turnovers are bad. I mean, it's almost subliminal right now with Daniels, right? Guy wakes up in the morning before he can have his breakfast. They tell him not to turn the ball over. It's had an effect. Now they're having to kind of reverse that a little bit. It's okay to throw the ball down the field just a little bit. He was part of that guy. I've got a lot more of this in the podcast today. I go a lot more in depth with some of the numbers that will, you know, I'm not trying to convince anybody. I'm just pointing it out there that if you think, well, hey, listen, we watched this guy for 5 games. We know he can't throw the ball down the field or won't throw the ball down the field. It's not really the case. We'll take a break. When we come back, Scott Rabalais will have his reaction to LSU Auburn, what the coaches have said, and getting ready for LSU-Tennessee. Is Hanny time, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hanny time.
When I'm buying my vehicles, I'm doing the same thing I've done for the last 2 decades. I'm buying them from Acura and Infinity of Baton Rouge. Certified pre-owned program is second to none. First of all, I'm going to get transparency in pricing, and I know that I'm going to be taken care of by their staff. And that pre-owned package includes up to 6 years of unlimited mileage warranties, complimentary first-year basic maintenance, 167-point inspection. You know these vehicles are squared away. Free 3-month trial subscription to Sirius XM satellite radio, emergency roadside assistance. That's, you know, particularly if you're buying a car for a young person or an older person that may not be able to take care of themselves on the road. It's invaluable. And complimentary service courtesy vehicle when you're taking your car in for maintenance. I love that one. It means you don't have to sit and wait. You can go get other things done in your day. You don't have to worry about somebody dropping you off and picking you up. It's all part of the service at Acura Infinity of Baton Rouge.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
Three people walk into a bar. The first 2 order the same old margs. The third, Nuevo Topo Chico Margarita Hard Seltzer. Crafted with real lime juice and a crisp tequila flavor. Topo Chico Margarita Hard Seltzer.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has $12,000 off MSRP on all new 2022 Ram Black Widow trucks in stock. All new Bayou vehicles come with a 1 million mile powertrain warranty and free delivery. If you need sales or service, the crew at Bayou is going to do right by you.
This is a house call. This is a follow-up appointment. This is a diabetes checkup. This isn't just more convenient care, it's more advanced care. This is innovating healthcare at Louisiana's #1 hospital, Auctioner.
Oh, hey, what's up? It's Big D and Bubba, 100.7 The Tiger Morning Show. We'd love for you to join us every weekday, 4 a.m. till 9 a.m.
Yeah, everything you want in a show. Country music. We got laughs. We got celebrity in-studio guests. We just need you.
Join us every weekday morning, 4 a.m. to 9 a.m., right where it all started.
That's right. Louisiana's country station, 100.7 The Tiger.
ServiceMaster Elite create clean, disinfected work environments. As a local business, we take pride in serving the New Orleans and Baton Rouge areas. Our cleaning protocols follow CDC and OSHA standards for healthcare settings, offices, senior living, restaurants, and industrial plants. Contact ServiceMaster Elite to get your operation ready for reopening with germ disinfection cleaning. ServiceMaster Elite, the trusted choice in professional cleaning since 1996.
It's no secret. The best oysters in Baton Rouge are at Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar. Enjoy mouth-watering South Louisiana flavor and oysters from all over the country. And don't forget our nightly drink specials. Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar, located in downtown Baton Rouge.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money.
Week 6 in the prep football season, and we get started Friday night at 6 with Louisiana Prep Preview presented by the Baton Rouge Orthopedic Clinic. Catholic High and Liberty kick off at 7, immediately followed by the Lake Urgent Care, Lake After Hours, Louisiana Prep Scoreboard Show on YouTube, Your View, and 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hanny Time with Charles Hannegriff on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Hannycast podcast. We dropped mid-afternoon this afternoon. Get it, Apple, Spotify, 104.5ESPN.com, wherever you get podcasts. Got a good bit more on LSU and Tennessee. Speaking of a good bit more on LSU and Tennessee, we bring in our friend Scott Rabalais from The Advocate. Scott, good afternoon. How are you?
I'm doing well, Charlie. You rescued me from a staff meeting, so many, many thanks.
Okay, you can owe me. This week, Brian Kelly has been as pointed as he can be without absolutely, calling a quarterback on the carpet or anybody on the offense about LSU's need to throw the football down the field a little bit more. So what do you think the results of this will be, given that his irritation level, I thought, was a little bit up on Monday?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a culmination of the direction of the offense and or the lack of some of the things that they need to be doing. And you're playing a team that obviously is so prolific on offense. You know, no matter how well your defense plays, you're going to have to score some points. 21 points obviously won't cut it, and maybe even 31 points won't cut it, like he scored against Mississippi State. So, he was very pointed about. It was interesting too, Charlie. Yesterday at the press conference, someone asked him about the struggles the secondary had early in the game, and he said, "You want me to throw someone on the bus? I'm not going to do that." Monday, he said that Monday, not yesterday, but he was pointed in saying that Jaden needs to take a few more chances. He's happy he hasn't thrown an interception this year. But it's hard to throw interceptions when you're not, trying to press the issue a little bit and get the ball farther downfield. This is a perfect chance to do that. Tennessee is last in the SEC in pass defense. So, it was interesting to hear those comments. We're still trying to learn Brian, what he wants to say, what he doesn't want to say, when he wants to send a message. But the message was pretty clear on Monday, I thought.
the question LSU fans will have is Daniels capable of getting into this frame of mind to have this type of game? You know, he has the physical ability to do it. There was apparently a quarterbacks and receivers meeting called for just players only by Daniels and the receivers on, I think it was Monday afternoon. We never know how these things are going to turn out. Some of these players only meetings turn out really well, turn things around. Some of them, nothing comes of them. You got an idea about what might come of this one?
I would think it's going to say we got to get the ball more to you guys. You guys got to catch the ball. You know, I think it's a two-way street with LSU's passing game. Daniels, he was very on the mark against New Mexico, very accurate, but it's not a very good team.
Yeah, we don't count that.
No. And against Auburn, it was he was inaccurate, and that didn't help him. I mean, I counted at least 3 drop passes. Maybe there was another one, and they've got to hang on to the ball, and they've got to do a better job of getting open. Again, this is something that Tennessee is just not good at all, and Jaden Daniels would seem to be the run. If he can pass, if he can pass effectively with his running ability, he is exactly the kind of quarterback that gives Tennessee trouble. I was on a radio show in Chattanooga yesterday and said, there's a dual threat quarterbacks tend to make, Tennessee tends to make them look like Heisman Trophy winners. And you don't have to be a Heisman Trophy winner, but he's got to be more effective. And everyone has to step up. It's not just on Jaden. It's not just on Keyshawn Butte. It's not just on Malik Neighbors or anything like that. It's on all of them. And of course, Mike Denbrock, too, the offensive coordinator, to be better.
So the idea that Daniels could have a breakout game is, in my opinion, not all that far-fetched. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but Anthony Richardson, another dual-threat quarterback at Florida. Let's go through his, and I'm throwing out the rent-a-win game. His 3 games besides Tennessee, against Utah, he threw for 168. Against Kentucky, he threw for 143. Against South Florida, he threw for 112. And against Tennessee, he threw for 423 yards. Which of these things is not like the other? Jaden Daniels' numbers in the 3 non-rental win games, Florida State 209, Mississippi State 210, Auburn was the clunker 80, but he threw for roughly as many total yards in those 3 games as Richardson threw in the 3 games not against Tennessee. And then Richardson exploded. Is Daniels capable of 453 yards? Probably not, but is he capable of 250, 280? Is that, am I completely out of bounds here?
I think no. To me, no, you're not. But to me, the bigger, the more salient question is he capable of a 400-yard total offense day? And I think that's definitely possible between running and passing if he's able to run. We spoke. I asked him directly, "How you feeling?" First question when he sat down. And he went up the steps, and I was like, "No, I'm watching to see if he's limping." And he said he felt okay, but the fact is, of course, he has not finished the last 2 games, and I think more in New Mexico, more out of precaution. This game, he said, he really, wasn't too right to be able to finish the game, but that he feels better now. So everybody says that. We'll see. But he did. If he was that hurt, they wouldn't have brought him to interview. So that is a good sign for LSU. But I think a 400-yard total offense day is something that's in the cards for Jaden, that he could run for 125 and throw for 275. That's not out of the realm of possibility at all.
You and I love to talk about scheduling. I love to talk about scheduling.
Scheduling.
Okay. So the primary argument for this archaic scheduling model in the SEC is that Alabama has to play Tennessee and LSU has to play Florida and Georgia has to play Auburn. And the TV networks want these games as if Auburn against Florida, Georgia against Alabama, and LSU against Tennessee are games that they wouldn't even bother to put on TV. We're talking about 20 years ago. So I'm going to ask you, this is one of the I use a horse racing term, lightly raced schedules in the league. LSU and Tennessee don't play each other very often. I'm hoping that changes. But, man, 3 times they've come to Tiger Stadium in the 2000s. You had Nick Saban's first big win here, the touchdown to Robert Royal on the first play of the overtime. You had the Rita game, Monday Night Football in Tiger Stadium, where LSU got out to a 21-0 lead but lost the game in overtime. And then you had the T-Bob game in when T-Bob snapped the ball and saved the day. And Les Miles said, "Who did they call that team the winner?" No, they didn't call him back. They call that team the winner. Scott, this hasn't been boring. LSU and Tennessee.
No, and you and I are old enough to remember, unfortunately, people calling it the Tennessee jinx when LSU plays Tennessee. LSU just couldn't beat them. And in the 2000s, LSU is 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 7-2 against Tennessee in the 2000s. Yeah. So, but yeah, these last 3 games in Tiger Stadium have been amazing, and it's one of the things that's just so, it's just so ridiculous. I always went back to the old when the Big 12 was in its original form, Charlie, when the Southwest Conference and the Big 8 merged. They put Oklahoma and Nebraska in separate divisions, and they would play home and home, and then they wouldn't play for 2 years, and they would play home and home again. And Oklahoma and Nebraska was at one time the biggest rivalry in college football. It really was. I mean, it was the most meaningful. But for the good of the conference, for competitive balance, for schedule equity, the Big 12 decided to do that. And in one way you could say it's bad, but in another way it's good. It's good when you look at the SEC, and Tennessee hasn't been here since 2010. Last year, LSU went to Kentucky for the first time since 2007. All this is going to change, and I was talking to Russ Dellinger last week, and what he said about scheduling is that you're going to play someone, and then you're not going to play them for a year, then you're going to play them at their place, and you're not going to play them for a year. And so, like Tennessee, they're coming here this year, they're not going to play next year. But, say if they started the new schedule format, they'd play at Knoxville in 24, then wouldn't play, they'd come back here in 26. So that will be – I hope that's with the 9-game schedule with 3 permanent opponents. I hope that's the case because that would be a much more equitable and more enjoyable way of doing this because, what was the last time LSU played in Georgia? 9 years ago? They're going back to Missouri again next year. Whoop-de-doo.
Right.
And not playing Tennessee. And you don't want the Auburn series to completely go away. We had another game. It wasn't the greatest played game Saturday, but it was another dramatic LSU-Auburn game, coming back from a 17-0 deficit and all the things that happened. So I hope this is going to change. It looks like it will. I hope this is going to change because the way it's been is just, like you said, basically, it's really for the Alabama-Tennessee game. They can give lip service to Georgia, Auburn, and LSU, Florida, but it's really about the Alabama-Tennessee game that we've all been subjected to this crap for so long.
And it won't be for very much longer, and that's pleasing. You brought up the Tennessee jinx real quick on it. I remember I was in college when LSU beat Tennessee in Knoxville for the first time in many, many years, and only the second time ever. Hodson was a quarterback. I want to say the game was 34-9 or something. It was played in the rain.
That's right.
Tennessee still had the turf at that time, and it was like, wow, LSU won at Tennessee. They haven't won at Tennessee since World War I, and it's like they only played there 3 times since World War I. And then the other game I remember was against the 82. Was it the 82 team or the 83 team? When Willie Gault
was here.
When Willie Gault raced down the sidelines, and they asked Jerry Stovall, I said, "What did he say?" He said, "Beep beep." He went right down the sideline for the touchdown.
He looked over his shoulder at Lifford Hobley, and it was like the Roadrunner and the Coyote. Lifford Hobley was the Coyote. It was like.
And Lifford Hobley was a really good player, but Willie Gault. Look, we've had Trendon Holiday, we've had Xavier Carter, we've had some world class. Is Willie Gault the fastest guy to ever play in Tiger Stadium?
Oh, probably so.
If he's not, he's right there in the conversation.
And going way back, Charlie, LSU probably would have another national championship if they could have beaten Tennessee in 1959. Yeah, they beat Ole Miss on Halloween. Then the next week they went to Knoxville and lost 14-13. They went for 2 late in the game, and Billy Cannon said, "I'll go to my grave," thinking I was over. They said he didn't make it. And I assume he did go to his grave thinking he was over. So that could have been back-to-back national titles and a 5th national title for LSU. They'd made that one play in Knoxville.
He told that story to me more than once, and he told that story many, many times. And there are people that I know that were there. And Billy got in. But, que sera. Rab, we appreciate it. Look forward to a good game. We'll talk to you next week.
Thank you, Charlie. Take care.
And we'll take a break. First class, second class, no class when we come back. Hanny Time, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hanny Time.
That's some cool stuff coming up at Big Mike's this weekend in Denham Springs. Tomorrow night is karaoke. Friday night, the Honky Tonk Playboys. And Saturday, for the LSU game, a DJ all day. Sunday, happy hour drink prices for NFL football, including the Saints and the Seagulls. You can always get your weekend centered around your football at Big Mike's. Get in after the games on Friday night. High school football runs late. Family atmosphere to get in to get something to eat after the games. And speaking of family atmosphere, they're going to do this event again this Halloween on Tuesday, October the 25th, called Trunk or Treat. It's out in the parking lot. It's sort of like a tailgate party meets trick-or-treating. It's a lot of fun. Music, candy for the kids, lots of prizes and games. So Big Mike's invites you to Trunk or Treat on Tuesday, October the 25th. That starts at 7 o'clock, and that is a free event. Big Mike's on Aspen and Denham Springs. We're kind of a big deal.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team. And backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Eli's always been into grilling. It took us a while to see it, but the signs were there.
What are you doing, Eli?
I knew grilling was my thing. I have been talking about it throughout my career.
Happy with the results?
I am. Got the new grill from barbecueguys.com. It performed great.
My advice, as I always told my boys,
do more of what you're born to do.
Barbecue Guys, for those who were born to grill.
You want cheese on your burger, Pops?
I'll take a little cheese.
This isn't just another day. It's so much more. Kelly's life was put on hold when her auctioneer primary care doctor discovered a rare blood disorder. Her doctor connected her to an auctioneer care team of cancer, heart, and kidney specialists. With multiple primary care locations around Baton Rouge, same-day appointments, and online scheduling, we're relentless about keeping you healthy. Auctioneer Baton Rouge, innovating healthcare for Kelly.
I'm Jay Ducote. I grew up learning how to cook at LSU tailgate parties and right in my own backyard. And I created JD's Louisiana products to bring that Louisiana flavor to you at home for your backyard cookout. JD's Louisiana barbecue sauce, Louisiana molasses mustard, spicy and sweet barbecue rub, and more are available at your local supermarkets or by logging on to jducote.com/shop. Put in promo code CST for 25% off at checkout.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs.
Join us for a Wednesday edition of Hunt and Hill. We'll go to Knoxville for a preview of the Vols. J.D. Pickell of On3 Sports will join us in our SEC Power Rankings. Hunt and Hill, 1 to 3 weekdays, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hanny Time with Charles Hannegriff on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Hanny Time. First class.
I want a seat in first class where I was booked and ticketed over a month ago.
Second class.
That no man should be subjected to the indignity of being labeled or treated like a second-class citizen.
And no class.
My life had become like school on Sunday. No class.
I'll tell you what then. Why don't you call me sometime when you have no class?
Our weekly submissions, first class, second class, no class. We start in first class with, look, a month is a reasonable enough sample size to get some kind of idea of what's going on in the NFL. It's not the be-all and get-all, but it's a lot. And my first class goes to Philadelphia Eagles, the second best offense in the league, and they're an eyelash behind Detroit. The third best defense in the league. They outscored the Lions. They smothered the Vikings defensively, and they came from 14 down to beat Jacksonville, and Jacksonville's not terrible this year. You can win games in a variety of different ways. I think that, that is one of the marks of a potential championship team. Jalen Hurts is playing great. One thing, and this is good and bad about the Eagles, they're number one in the league in turnover margin at +8. That's 3 better than second place. So is it good that they are getting turnovers for their team? Yeah, it is. But is it swaying games? And turnovers are not always sustainable, but they're sustainable over a short period of time, not a long period of time. 2009, Saints were sustainable over the entire season. Sometimes the turnover stat is a little bit misleading, but in this case, I just think it adds to the narrative on Philadelphia. They're the favorites in the NFC right now. They're third favorite to win the Super Bowl. I don't know if they'll do either one of those things, but for now, they're the best team in the NFC through the first month of the season, and that puts them in first class. Second class, we usually do good with a chance to be great. This is not it fit into that category. This is more great and historic with a chance for the perfect finale, if you will. Aaron Judge hit his 60-second home run yesterday, and kudos to everybody who got to see the 41 walks between home runs 61 and 62. It's not where I'm going with this. Just as enjoyable to me, and I didn't have to have cut-ins to see it, is watching what Albert Pujols has done in what will be the final season of his career over the last 2 months of the season. Pujols has hit 24 home runs and driven in 68 at the age of 42. He came into the season needing 21 home runs to get to 700. We know these numbers by rote, right? Aaron at 755, Ruth at 714, and yes, I even know Bonds at 762. I'm not going to get into that. That's not where I want to go with this segment. But Pujols wasn't a full-time player anymore at the beginning of this season. He came back for sort of a farewell tour with St. Louis, where he had, had his most success in his career. He's mostly a left-handed pitcher against DH, as a DH early in the season. He was batting only against lefties. He had 2 home runs in April. He had 2 in May. He had none in June. And he had 3 in July. So you start in August, and you're like, well, you know what? This is it's not going to end exactly the way. He's not going to get to 700. The Cardinals, they were making a run at that time because the Brewers had kind of given up. But it was like, this is just not going to end in a fairy tale manner for Albert Pujols. And then he hit 8 home runs in August and 7 in September, 2 more in October, and he goes over 700, which only 3 people have ever done. And as what should not be a side note to me, is the 68 RBIs puts him in front of George Herman Ruth on the all-time list for second in RBIs. We don't know the numbers by rote for RBI. We should. But he went over 20, Hank Aaron, the all-time leader, just under 2,300. How many RBIs does Pujols have? Over 2,200. To me, is such a much more important statistic than many of the others. You drive in runs. Man, look, home runs are great and all that stuff, but you drive runs across the plate, that will help your team win. I don't care what else is going on in the game. 22-16. Pujols has won Rookie of the Year. He's won MVP 3 times. He's had 6 other top 5 MVP votes, and he's won 2 rings. The Cardinals are the 4th choice to win the NL pennant. They're the 6th choice to win the World Series. It would be a pretty big upset if they got there. They're 43-23 after the All-Star break. They're playing pretty well. I have no problem rooting for Albert Pujols. I'm not a Cardinal fan, really. I know you put the bird on the bat. It's a pretty storied franchise. I have no problem rooting for Albert Pujols. If any team, they're not the favorites, like I said, but a nostalgic pick, Pujols were to win a World Series after doing all these things, that would be pretty sweet. No class, I'm going to a topic that I have never discussed in any of my time on radio, ever in my life. Talking about a fishing tournament. Play the tape. Oh, that's not good. All right, let me turn that off. Let me read the context, and then we'll get the tape. All right, Jason Fisher is the director of the Lake Erie Walleye Trail. This is a tournament in which you take your top 5 fish and you weigh them. All right. Jacob Runyon and Chase Comiskey have been winning tournaments up around the Midwest, upper Midwest, for the last several years. There's been a great deal of suspicion on them as to whether or not they were cheating. So when it came time to put their 5 fish into in for the weigh-in, they looked a little bit big to the tournament director. Jason Fisher picked up these fish and, having been around the sport his entire life, said, these are too big. These are too heavy. What's going on here? What should have been 5 fish coming in somewhere between 16 and 20 pounds came in at 34 pounds. Man, this is like if you got a card up your sleeve, you try to have two pair. You don't put a raw flush out on the board. They were cheating so bad. This prize was worth $30,000. And they have won prizes for several $100,000 over the last, 3 years, I think it was. They won a boat that was valued at 6 figures. When Fisher took these fish out and cut into the belly, the weights dropped out of them, these fishing weights. Also that dropped out of these things were fillets. They put the weights in the fish. They put the fillet in between the weights so that the weights wouldn't clank together, and they thought nobody would know. You're almost twice as much, maybe even a little bit more than twice as much as what the fish should have weighed. Do we have the tape? Is the tape ready?
No, we're having some difficulties.
Oh man,
terrible time for a software update.
Yes, you guys have ruined my bit here because they were going to kill these guys. All right. I've never been to a fish weigh-in for a tournament, but I got an idea of how it goes. All right. Everybody is standing around and you watch the weigh-in. And these things are decided by very, very little weight. You can have just a couple of ounces be the difference in thousands and thousands of dollars. So everybody's really clued into this. They're all hovered around watching the weigh-in. And when they get to the weigh-in, this thing's come in at 34 pounds when they should have come in at somewhere around 18, 19, or 20. And all of these fishermen realize how much money these guys have been trying to steal from them for the last 3 years. Fishing tournaments, I had a vague idea, but until I read about this whole thing, I didn't realize just how much money was on the line here. And all of the equipment upgrades that these guys had done to their boats, to their gear, travel costs, all this thing, hundreds of thousands of dollars. And these two cats have been scamming them for the last 3 years. One of them went and hid in his truck. The other one was standing there with a blank look on his face. And the tournament director tells him, you need to leave for your own safety. Tells everybody around that the cops are here. Please don't hurt these people. But they were ready to kill these guys. You can imagine. You've been working at this. If this is your passion, and certainly for a lot of people, fishing is their passion, they go out there and spend all this money, all this time, and these guys been putting weights in fish. We have weights in fish. I'm surprised they made it out of there in one piece. I'm going to find the audio at some point. The software this morning apparently has been a little bit temperamental. It would have sounded better with the audio. Just trust me when I tell you, if you are cheating in a fishing tournament, you have no class, okay? We got weights in fish. Come back with your questions in the chat. This is Hanny Time, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hanny Time.
A special evening with the man and his music. Aaron Lewis. Frayed at both ends. The acoustic tour. October 20th, Raising Cane's River Center. Tickets on sale Friday at 10 a.m. at Ticketmaster.com. Willing to bleed, take a bullet. New album, Frayed at Both Ends, out now. It's been a while. Aaron Lewis. A special evening with the
Demco wants to give you the knowledge to be power smart. Simple tips that can help you conserve energy and save money. Sealing air leaks around windows and doors is a good
More customers? Running Boards Marketing can help you get their attention. Imagine your brand's message on a giant LED billboard truck that can't be skipped and is nearly impossible to ignore. Running Boards Marketing is the leader in effective and affordable advertising on digital mobile billboards, which are 2 times more effective than traditional billboards. With a 97% recall rate, you'll leave a lasting impression with your customers. Visit us online at runningboardsmarketing.com so we can drive your message to where the people are.
Light beer shouldn't taste like water. Miller Lite has more taste and only 96 calories. It's Miller time.
ITI's got all these programs. Once I started and learned everything about the school, it was worth it.
The challenges that ITI presented me with, it allowed me to build myself up.
All because of ITI, I actually was able to get a job within 3 months before graduation in my field.
Get the hands-on training you need for the job you've always wanted. With so many companies hiring right now, it's the perfect time to come to ITI Technical College. Enroll today for a better life.
This summer, meet Acura's heroes of performance. Only available at the Acura Summer of Performance.
This summer, visit your local Acura dealer for attractive offers on the MDX.
Shop,
Order curbside pickup online or with Rouse's Market Shopping app and let Rouse's personal shopper shop for you. Curbside pickup is free and you pay the same price for groceries as in-store. Use code SAINTS20 and save $20 on orders of $100 or more. That's curbside convenience. Shop a style.
Oh, yeah!
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
This is a house call. This is a follow-up appointment. This is a diabetes checkup. This isn't just more convenient care, it's more advanced care. This is innovating healthcare at Louisiana's #1 hospital.
with Magnolia Bluffs Football Sunday with Jimmy Ott, immediately followed by the Buffalo Bills and the Pittsburgh Steelers at noon, right here on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hanny Time with Charles Hannegriff on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
And we're brought to you by Supreme Rice and SupremeRice.com. You're going out tailgating this weekend, pick up some Supreme Rice at all of your Rouses, all of your Walmarts, all of your AG food stores. Get it for tailgating. Get it for Sunday. Get it for just your everyday use, whether it's the brown, the long grain, the medium grain, or the jasmine. Supreme Rice going to spice up your next meal. So whether it's gumbo, it's red beans, it's just a regular old stew or some crawfish etouffee, make it with Supreme Rice. Support our Louisiana farmers down in Crowley, Louisiana, and surrounding southwestern Louisiana since the 1930s. You're going to support our Louisiana farmers, get delicious tasting Supreme Rice. For more information and great recipes, go to SupremeRice.com. Somehow, and by the way, we apologize for the technical snafu, but somehow the chat has gotten on my age, and this is always a dangerous topic. I'm not guarded about it at all. I'm 50, exactly. They were asking when I was in school. I finished high school in '89. I was at LSU from '89 to '94. I went back and finished later on because I left school to go. I went pro early. I left and started in radio here in '93. But I started in radio. They asked me when I started in radio. I started in radio when I was 15, with only probably about a 1.5 to 2 year gap when I was in college. The middle part, I wasn't doing any radio at all. Other than that, I've been in this business in one way or another for the last 35 years. So not sure how they got on that, but that's the that's the answer. And yes, Jimmy Ott is older than me. So
probably the Billy Cannon story, which I didn't know about until today.
I met Billy Cannon in 1993 at the Baton Rouge Touchdown Club. He was speaking at the Baton Rouge Touchdown Club, and the show I was doing at the time, I was just a sidekick on the show at the time. I wasn't even a co-host. I was just kind of helping those guys out. They were heavily involved with the Baton Rouge Touchdown Club. That's when they introduced me to Billy Cannon. And the first thing Billy Cannon did when he met me, he said, "Son, let me show you the stance that got me the Heisman Trophy in 1959." The man got down in the stance in 1993, and I had him on the show a number of times. My most memorable Billy Cannon interview of the number that I did with him was the one we did before the 2001 Sugar Bowl. We did it. He came on with us for pregame, and I can't remember all of the details other than when we went back and we listened to it again after the game was over. Cannon had predicted almost to the dime what was going to happen in that game. I mean, almost exactly the way he said it was going to play out. He said LSU is going to come out with a wave of emotion. They're going to get out to a lead. The quarterback for Illinois, Kirk Kittner, is not going to be able to do. I mean, he nailed it. His football IQ was still at its highest, even years and years and years after he had finished. Did I work at KLSU? I did not work at KLSU. That's a whole nother story. We got about 2 minutes left. I did not work at KLSU. Jimmy worked at KLSU. But,
as did I.
You did? Okay.
Yes.
Ask Hanny, you looking forward to post-game in daylight? It's fine. Honestly, it's the same amount of time no matter when we start and when we finish, as long as the game's not on CBS. If the game's on CBS, it's 45 minutes longer. So I'm fine with it. I've done pre and post game literally at every hour of the day. We once started pregame at 5 in the morning. We once finished post game at 4:30 in the morning. The 5 a.m. start was for Gustav. The 4:30 end was in 2003, maybe 4:15. Was in 2003 when LSU went to Arizona, and we finished up at a restaurant called Serrano's. If you remember, Serrano's was down on Highland Road. And they left 2 bartenders with us to close up. Everybody else was gone for the night, and they just they told those guys that they could, let's say, sample the product while they waited for us to close up. And we got those fellas a ride because by the time the show was over, they needed a ride. Let's see. How come LSU doesn't benefit from other coverage busts? Well, they don't because they haven't thrown the ball down the field very much. You know, if you can't take advantage of a coverage bust, and we're assuming that there have been some coverage busts from the people that I've talked to that have seen that they were either at Auburn or have seen the wide cut. There were openings against Auburn to throw the ball down the field. There were some chances for some big plays, and I think that came, that was part of the reason that Brian Kelly was so irritated by the time he got to Monday was hey, there were plays to be made there, and we didn't make them. So Brian said he remembers when I was on 12:10 a.m. No, you don't. Not one time did I broadcast for 12:10 a.m. I was at 1300 before I came here, but the two were kind of concurrent there for a while. All right, everybody got my resume? got to update it. Thanks to everybody for participating. For Mario and Taylor, I'm Charles Hanniger saying thank you and good afternoon. Stay tuned for Hunting Hill. It's been Hanny.